Hello everyone! So, this is the audiobook for Percy Jackson and the Greek Gods Introduction. I hope I'm getting extra credit for this. A publisher in New York asked me to write down what I know about the Greek gods, and I was like, can we do this anonymously? Because I don't need the Olympians mad at me again. But if it helps you to know your Greek gods and survive an encounter with them if they ever showed up in your face, then I guess writing all this down will be my good deeds for the week. If you don't know me, my name is Percy Jackson. I'm a modern day demigod, a half god, half mortal son of Poseidon, but I'm not going to say much about myself. My story has already been written down in some books. They are total fiction, wink wink, and I'm just a character from the story. Yeah. Just go easy on me while I'm telling you about the gods, alright? There's like 40 bajillion different versions of the myth, so don't be all, well, I heard a different way, so you're wrong. I'm gonna tell you the versions that makes the most sense to me. I promise I didn't make any of this up. I got all of these stories straight from the ancient Greek and Roman dudes who wrote them down in the first place. Believe me, I couldn't make up stuff this weird. So here we go. First, I'll tell you how the world got made. Then I'll run down a list of gods and give you my 2 cents about each of them. I just hope I don't make them so mad they incinerate me before I... Ah! Just kidding. Still there. Anyway, I'll start with the Greek story of creation, which, by the way, is seriously messed up. Wear your safety glasses and your raincoat. There will be blood. The beginning and stuff. In the beginning, I wasn't there. I don't think the ancient Greeks were there either. Nobody had a pen and paper to take notes, so I can't vouch for what follows. But I can tell you it's what the Greek thought happened. At first, there was pretty much nothing. A lot of nothing. The first god, if we can call it that, was chaos. A gloomy, soupy mist with all the matter in the cosmos just drifting around. Here's the facts for you. Chaos literally means gap. And we're not talking about the clothing store. Eventually, chaos got less chaotic. Maybe it got bored with being all gloomy and misty. Some of its matter collected and solidified into the earth, which unfortunately developed a living personality. She called herself Gaia, the Earth Mother. Now, Gaia was the actual Earth. The rocks, the hill, the valley, the whole enchilada. But she could also take a human-like form. She liked to walk across the earth, which was basically walking across herself, in the shape of a matronly woman with a flowing green dress, curly black hair, and a serene smile on her face. The smile hid a nasty disposition. You'll see that soon enough. After a long time, Gaia looked up in the misty nothing above the earth and said to herself, "You know what will be good? A sky. I could really go for a sky. And it would be nice if he was also a handsome man I could fall in love with, because I'm kind of lonely down here with just these rocks." Either chaos heard her and cooperated, or Gaia simply willed it to happen. Above the earth, the sky formed. A protective dome that was blue in the daytime and black at night. The sky named himself Uranus. And yeah, that's another spelling for Uranus, with a U and O. There's pretty much no way you can pronounce that name without people snickering. It just sounds wrong. Why he didn't choose a better name for himself, like Deathbringer or Jose? I don't know. But it might explain why Uranus was so cranky all the time. Like Gaia, Uranus could take human shape and visit the Earth, which was good because this guy is way up there and long distance relationships never work out. In physical form, he looked tall. He looked like a tall, buff guy with longish dark hair. He wore only a loincloth, and his skin changed color. Sometimes blue with cloudy patterns across his muscles, sometimes dark with glimmering stars. Hey, Gaia dreamt her up to look like that. Don't blame me. Sometimes you'll see pictures of him holding a zodiac wheel, representing all the constellations that pass through the sky over and over for eternity. Anyway, Uranus and Gaia got married. Happily ever after? Not exactly. Part of the problem was that chaos got a little creation happy. It thought to its misty, gloomy self, hey, Earth and sky, that was fun. I wonder what else I can make. Soon, it created all sorts of other problems, and by that I mean gods. Water collected out of the mist of chaos, pooled in the deepest part of the earth, and formed the first seas, which naturally developed a consciousness, the god Pontus. Then chaos really went nuts and thought, I know, how about a dome like the sky, but at the bottom of the earth? That would be awesome! So another dome came into being beneath the earth, but it was dark and murky, and generally not very nice, since it was always hidden from the light of the sky. This was Tartarus, the pit of evil. And as you can guess from the name, when he developed a godly personality, he didn't win any popularity contest. The problem was, both Pontus and Tartarus liked Gaia, which put some pressure on her relationship with Uranus. A bunch of other primordial gods popped up, but if I tried to name them all, we'll be here for weeks. Chaos and Tartarus had kids together. Don't ask how. I don't know. Call Nyx, who was the embodiment of the night. Then Nyx, somehow all by herself, had a daughter named Hemira, who was day. Those two never got along because they were as different as, well, you know. According to some stories, Chaos also created Eros, the god of procreation. In other words, mommy gods and daddy gods having lots of little baby gods. The story claimed Eros was the son of Aphrodite. We'll get to her later. I don't know which version is true, but I do know Gaia and Uranus started having kids, with very mixed results. First, they had a batch of 12, 6 girls and 6 boys called the Titans. These kids looked human, but they were much taller and much powerful. You figure 12 kids will be enough for anybody, right? I mean, with a family that big, you've basically got your own reality TV show. Plus, once the Titans were born, things started to go sour with Uranus and Gaia's marriage. Uranus spent a lot of more time hanging out in the sky. He didn't visit. He didn't help with the kids. Gaia got resentful. The two of them started fighting. As the kids grew older, Uranus would yell at them and basically act like a horrible dad. A few times, Gaia and Uranus tried to patch things up. Gaia decided maybe if they had another set of kids, it will bring them closer. I know, right? Bad idea. She gave birth to triplets. The problem? These new kids defined the word ugly. They were as big, as strong as Titans, except hulking and brutish and in desperate need of a body wax. Worst of all, each kid had a single eye in the middle of his forehead. Talk about a face only a mother could love. Well, Gaia loved these guys. She named them the Elder Cyclops, and eventually they would spawn a whole race of other lesser Cyclops. But that was much later. When Uranus saw the Cyclops triplets, he freaked. This cannot be my kid.
They don't even look like me.
There you are, children, you deadbeat, Gaia screamed back. Don't you dare leave me to raise them on my own. Don't worry, I won't, Uranus growled. He stormed off and come back with thick chains made from the night sky's pure darkness. He bound out the Cyclops and tossed them into the Tartarus, which was the only part of creation where Uranus wouldn't have to look at them. Harsh, right? Gaia screamed and wailed, but Uranus refused to release the Cyclops. No one else dared to oppose his orders, because by this time he was getting a reputation as a pretty scary dude.
I'm the king of the universe,
he bellowed.
How could I not be? I am literally above everything else.
I hate you, Gaia wailed.
But you will do as I say. I am the first and best of primordial gods.
I was born before you, Gaia protested. You wouldn't even be here if I didn't.
Don't test me, he snarled. I've got plenty of chained of darkness.
As you can guess, Gaia threw a lot of earthquake fit, but she didn't see what else she could do. Her first kids, the Titans, were almost adults now. They felt bad for Mom. They didn't like their dad much either. Gaia was always bad-mouthing him, with good reasons. But the Titans were scared of Uranus and felt helpless to stop him.
I have to give it together for the kids, Gaia thought.
Maybe I should give it one more try with Uranus. She arranged a nice romantic evening. Candles, roses, soft music. They must have rekindled some of the old magic. A few months later, Gaia gave birth to one more set of triplets. As if she needed more proof that her marriage to Uranus was dead, the new kids were even more monstrous than the Cyclops. Each one had 100 arms all around his chest, like a sea urchin's spines, and 50 teeny tiny heads clustered on his shoulder. It didn't matter to Gaia. She loved their little faces, all 150 of them. She called the triplets the 100-handed one. She barely had the time to give them names, though, when Uranus marched over, took one look at them, and snatched them from Gaia's arm. Without a word, he wrapped them in chains and tossed them into Tartarus like bags of recycling. Clearly, the Sky Dude had issues. Well, that was pretty much it for Gaia. She wailed and moaned and caused so many earthquakes that her Titan kids came running to see what was wrong. Your father is in complete I don't know what she called him, but I have a feeling that's when the first cuss words were invented. She explained what had happened. Then she raised her arms and caused the ground to rumble beneath her. She summoned the hardest substance she could find from her earthy domain, shaped it with her anger, and created the first weapon ever made, a curved iron blade about 3 feet long. She fixed it to a wooden handle made from a nearby tree branch, then showed her invention to the Titans.
Behold, my children,
she said, the instrument of my revenge. I will call it a scythe. The Titans muttered among themselves. What is that for? Why is it curved? How do you spell scythe?
One of you need to step up,
Gaia cried. Uranus isn't worthy to be the king of the cosmos. One of you will kill him and takes his place. The Titan looks pretty uncomfortable. So, explain this whole killing thing, said Oceanus. He was the oldest Titan boy, but he mostly hung out in the far reaches of the sea with the primordial water god, whom he called Uncle Pontus. What does that mean, to kill? She wants us to exterminate our dad, Themis guessed. She was one of the smartest girls, and she immediately got the concept of punishing someone for a crime. Like, make him not exist anymore. Is that even possible? Asked her sister Rhea. I thought we were all immortal. Gaia snarled in frustration. Don't be cowards. It's very simple. You take this sharp pointy blade and you cut your dad into small pieces so he can't bother us again. Whichever of you does this will be the ruler of the universe. Also, I will make you those cookies you used to like, with the sprinkles. Now, in modern time, we have a word for this sort of behavior. We call it psycho. Back then, the rule of behavior were a lot looser. Maybe you'll feel better about your own relative, knowing that the first family in creation was also the first dysfunctional family. The Titans started rumbling and pointing to each other like, hey, you'll be good at killing Dad. No, I think you should do it. I love to kill Dad, honestly, but I got this thing I have to do, so I'll do it, said a voice from the back. The youngest of the 12 shouldered his way forward. Kronos was smaller than his brothers and sisters. He wasn't the smartest or the strongest or the fastest, but he was the most power-hungry. I suppose when you're the youngest of 12 kids, you're always looking for ways to stand out and get noticed. The youngest Titan loved the idea of taking over the world, especially if it meant being the boss of his siblings, all of his siblings. The offer of cookies with sprinkles didn't hurt either. Kronos stood about 9 feet tall, which was runty for a Titan's. He didn't look as dangerous as some of his brothers, but the kid was crafty. He'd already gotten the name the Crooked One among his siblings, because he would fight dirty in their wrestling matches and was never where you expected him to be. He had his mother's smile and dark curly hair. He has his father's cruelty. When he looked at you, you could never tell if he was about to punch you or tell you a joke. His beard was kind of unnerving too. He was young for a beard, but he already started growing his whiskers into single spike that jutted from his chin like a beak of a raven. When Kronos saw the scythe, his eyes gleamed. He wanted that iron blade. Alone amongst his siblings, he understood how much damage he could cause. And as for killing his dad, why not? Uranus barely noticed him. Neither did Gaia, for that matter. His parents probably didn't even know his name. Kronos hated being ignored. He was tired of being the smallest and wearing all those stupid Titans hand-me-downs. I'll do it, he repeated. I'll chop out Dad. My favorite son, Gaia cried. You are awesome. I know I could count on you. Which one are you again? Kronos, he managed to keep his smile. Hey, for a scythe, cookies, and a chance to commit murder, Kronos could hide his true feelings. I'll be honored to kill for you, Mother, but we'll have to do it my way. First, I want you to trick Uranus into visiting you. Tell him you're sorry. Tell him it's all your fault and you're going to cook him a fancy dinner to apologize. Just get him here and act like you still love him. Ah! Gaia gagged. Are you crazy? Just pretend, Kronos insisted. Once he's in human form and sitting next to you, I'll jump out and attack him. But I'll need some help. He returned to his siblings, who were all suddenly very interested in their own feat. Look, guys, said Kronos. If this goes bad, Uranus is going to take revenge on all of us. We can't have any mistakes. I need 4 of you to hold him down and make sure he doesn't escape back into the sky before I finish killing him. The others were silent. They were probably trying to picture that shrimpy little brother Kronos taking on their huge violent dad, and they weren't liking the odds. Oh, come on, Kronos chided. I'll do the actual slicing and dicing. 4 of you just need to hold him. When I'm king, I'll reward those four. I'll give them each a corner of the earth to rule. North, south, east, and west. One-time offer. Who's with me? The girls were too wise to get involved in the murder. They made their excuses and quickly left. The oldest one, Oceanus, chewed his thumb nervously. I have to get back to the sea for aquatic stuff. Sorry. That left only four of Kronos' brother, Koios, Iapetus, Cryost, and Hyperion. Kronos smiled at them. He took the scythe from Gaia's hand and tested its point, drawing a drop of golden blood from his own finger. So, 4 volunteers. Nice. Iapetus cleared his throat. Actually, Hyperion jabbed Iapetus with his elbow. We're in, Kronos, he promised. You can count on us. Excellent, Kronos said, which was the first time an evil genius ever said excellent. He told them the plan. That night, amazingly, Uranus showed up. He wandered into the valley where he usually met Gaia and frowned when he saw the sumptuous dinner laid out on the table. I got your note. Are you serious about making up? Absolutely. Gaia was dressed in her best green sleeveless dress. Her curly hair was braided with jewels, which were easy for her to get, being the earth and everything, and she smells of roses and jasmine. She reclined on a sofa in the soft light of the candles and beckoned her husband to come closer. Uranus felt undressed in his loincloth. He hadn't brushed his hair for anything. His nighttime skin was dark and covered with stars, but that probably didn't count as black tie on a fancy dinner. He was starting to think he should have at least brushed his teeth. Was he suspicious? I don't know. Remember, nobody in the history of the cosmos had been lured into an ambush and chopped to pieces before. He was going to be the first. Lucky guy. Also, he got lonely hanging out in the sky so much. His only companion was the stars, the air god Aether, who was in fact a total airhead, and Nyx and Hemera, mothers and daughter, who argued with each other every dawn and dusk. So, Uranus' palms felt sweaty. He'd forgotten how beautiful Gaia could be when she wasn't all yelling out to his face. You're not angry anymore? Not at all, Gaia assured him. And you're okay with me wrapping our kids in chains and throwing them into the abyss? Gaia gritted her teeth and forced a smile. I am okay with it. Good, he grunted, because those little guys were ugly. Gaia patted the couch. Come sit with me, my husband. Uranus grinned and lumbered over. As soon as he settled in, Kronos whispered from behind the boulder, Now! His 4 brothers jumped out from their hiding places. Cryos had disguised himself as a bush. Koios had dug a hole for himself and covered it with branches. Hyperion had tucked himself under the couch. It was a large couch. And Iapetus was attempting to look like a tree with his arm out for branches. For some reason, it worked. The 4 brothers grabbed Uranus. Each one of them took an arm or a leg, and they wrestled their dad to the ground, stretching him out spread-eagled. Kronos emerged from the shadow. His iron scythe gleamed in the starlight. Hello, father. What is the meaning of this? Uranus bellowed. Gaia, tell them to release me. Ha! Gaia rose from the couch. You gave our children no mercy, my husband, so you deserve no mercy. Besides, who wear a loincloth to a fancy dinner? I am disgusted. Uranus struggled in vain. How dare you? I am the lord of the cosmos. Not anymore. Kronos raised his scythe. Beware! If you do this, What was your name again? Kronos! If you do this, Kronos, said Uranus, I will curse you. Someday your own children will destroy you and take your throne, just as you are doing to me. Kronos laughed. Let them try. He brought down the scythe. It hit Uranus right in the... well, you know what? I can't even see it. If you're a guy, imagine the most painful place you could possibly be hit. Yep, that place. Kronos chopped and Uranus howled in pain. It was like the most disgusting, cheap-budget horror movie you can imagine. Blood was everywhere, except the blood of gods is golden, and it's called ichor. Droplets of it splattered over the rocks, and the stuff was so powerful that later on, when no one was looking, creature arose from the ichor. 3 hissing winged demons called the Furies, the spirit of punishment. They immediately fled into the darkness of Tartarus. Other drops of sky blood fell on fertile soil, where they eventually turned into wild but gentler creatures called nymphs and satyrs. Most of the blood just splattered everything. Seriously, those stains were never going to come out from Kronos' shirt. Well done, brothers! Kronos grinned ear to ear, his scythe dripping gold. Iapetus got sick on the spot. The other laughed and patted each other on the back. Oh, my children, Gaia said. I'm so proud. Cookies and punch for everyone. Before the celebration, Kronos gathered up the remains of his father in a tablecloth. Maybe because he resented his eldest brother Oceanus for not helping with the murder, Kronos toted the stuff to the sea and tossed it in. The blood mixed with the salty water and... well, you'll see what came out from that later. Now you're going to ask, okay, so if the sky was killed, why do I look up and still see the sky? Answer, I don't know. My guess is that Kronos killed Uranus' physical form, so the sky god could no longer appear on the earth and claim kingship. They basically exiled him into the air. So he's not dead, exactly, but now he can't do anything but be the harmless dome over the world. Anyway, Kronos returned to the valley, and all the Titans had a party. Gaia named Kronos Lord of the Universe. She made him a cool, one-of-a-kind, collector's edition gold crown and everything. Kronos kept his promise and gave his 4 helpful brother control over the 4 corners of the earth. Iapetus became the Titan of the west. Hyperion got the east. Koios took the north, and Cryos got the south. That night, Kronos lifted his glass of nectar, which was the immortal's favorite drink. He tried for a confident smile, since kings would always look confident, though truthfully he was already starting to worry about Uranus' curse, that someday Kronos' own children would dispose him. In spite of that, he yelled, My siblings, a toast! We have begun a golden age. And if you like lots of lying, stealing, backstabbing, and cannibalism, then read on, because it definitely a golden age for all of that.